Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Need for Greed. Today, we'll be playing Battle of Wits. But not just any Battle of Wits, it's Battle of Turns, or Time Warp of Wits, or whatever you want to call it. So for those of you that don't know, Battle of Wits is a 5-mana enchantment that says if you, beginning of your upkeep, you have more than 200 cards left in your deck, you win the game. So basically what we've done is taken every extra turn spell that's decent and that I own, and stuck it into a deck, added a bunch of support that you sometimes see in extra turns decks, like Planeswalkers, etc., and kind of mashed that up with a blue-white control shell. And because I dislike sideboarding in Battle of Wits decks so much... Oh, whoops, I just realized I'd messed up. I need a Yorion in the sideboard here. Because I dislike sideboarding so much, I've made a deck where the only sideboard cards are 3 Relic of Progenitus, and the rest of the cards are Lessons and Yorion. And in order to tutor those cards out of our deck, we have Study Break and Divide by Zero. There are a couple of other learn spells I could have put in the main deck. Pop Quiz, Igneous Inspiration jump to mind, as well as like the white one, but I don't think they're really necessary. But basically, we take extra turns until we accumulate enough advantage that we can win the game. That's the plan. As you can tell, Moto's like already lagging, and I've had this open for like a minute. So, list will be posted in the deck list link below in the description. I don't have too much else to say, other than the fact that I forgot to take out Trinket Mage from the last time I edited this deck, and I'm really happy that I spotted that right before I went into a league, trimming the fat just a little bit more from this deck. And yeah, I will see you guys in round 1. Alright, I'm gonna have to play fast because Moto's gonna lag like hell this entire time, and there's a good chance that I like time out every single match. This hand is a mulligan. This hand is also a mulligan. Oh no. We're against Obosh, so like the timely reinforcements and the blessed alliances and stuff would have been fantastic. However, this hand is keepable. We'll put back a Divide by Zero and a Terminus. We're going to keep this hand because we have the Gifts Ungiven Reanimator package, so we can get Iona. My opponent playing Obosh with Misty Rainforest is a little bit scary, because this means they are probably Groll Land Destruction. Opponent starts by naming red off of Utopia Sprawl, kind of hoping to draw a fetch land. We didn't. So, crack Polluted Delta, I'm going to get a basic island, play a Snow-Covered Plains, and I'm going to play Baral. Pass the turn. If my opponent has a land destruction spell, at least this way I can divide by 0 after the fact still. If they have removal, that's fine, because I'll still be able to divide by 0. And if they don't interact with us at all, we can Gifts Ungiven. Alright, opponent does have a Pillage. We untap. We draw Howling Mine. Howling Mine, not very good here. We'll shock Hallowed Fountain, go to combat, and attack for 1. Pass the turn, leave up Divide by 0. We'll basically divide by 0 anything they play here. And if for some reason they didn't play anything, I could bounce Utopia Sprawl. Opponent fetches up a forest, plays Magus of the Moon. Well, divide by 0. That's right, things are getting spicy. Let's get Environmental Sciences. Then opponent plays Arbor Elf, sure. We untap, we draw Cryptic Command, play Environmental Sciences for 1, get an island, play the island, play Howling Mine, pass the turn. Alright, opponent untaps, they have a whole lot of mana. They get to draw an extra card. I still expect them to play Magus of the Moon, but now, we have Gifts Ungiven. And we will, with Baral on the battlefield, have enough mana to actually cast the Unburial Rites from the grave, provided, of course, my opponent can't kill Baral. Second Magus of the Moon. Boy, they think they really got us, don't they? We untap, we draw Time Warp, exciting, and Condemn. Condemn could be good. So, pass the turn. Opponent draws an extra card. They play a land. Magus of the Moon number 3. Magus of the Moon Tron. They put Obosh in their hand. Opponent goes to combat. No attacks. Alright. On their end step, Gifts Ungiven. Alright, let me... Y'all got any more of them pixels? I'm gonna get my reading glasses out here. I think we get Elish Norn and Unburial Rites. Iona on red is kind of fun. Oh, I could get Narset. But Narset doesn't have haste. And they have sweepers. We gotta get Elish Norn here. Right? It's just the only thing that makes sense. It really is. The only thing that makes sense, I would imagine. So Elish Norn, Unburial Rites. All right. Go ahead and just put those in the graveyard for us, opponent. Everything will be fine. Opponent scoops. All right. We got the game one. You know what? I've not been able to speak this entire league. Starting at the deck tech. Why would I start now? Well, just the sheer weight of the deck. The bits, the electrons I'm using up. Making WotC's servers consume more electrons and electricity than Bitcoin mining. That's the goal. Everybody should start playing Battle of Wits. Maybe we could force them to upgrade their infrastructure. Alright, well, we got a lot of lands, and we can fetch some basics. We got Study Break to help buy time. We have Stitch in Time, which we can cast if they play Blood Moon, of course. Opponent starts on Utopia Sprawl, that's fine. We untap and draw Snapcaster Mage, so play Windswept Heath, pass the turn. We can just hide fetch lands until they play hide under fetch lands until they play a Blood Moon. Alright, fetch our basic plains. Magus of the Moon makes that Utopia Sprawl fall off, that's fine. We untap, we draw Colonnade, so play Colonnade, pass the turn. Man, that Environmental Sciences is really going to be doing work here. Okay, opponent plays a mountain. They're going to pillage us. Well, let's go ahead and tap that Magus. Get Environmental Sciences. They blow up our plains. We untap. We draw a Dictate of Krufix. So play an island. We'll go ahead and Environmental Sciences and get an island. Gain some life. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Seasoned Pyromancer. They're going to dump some cards and draw. Seems good to me. They dump Lightning Bolt and Seasoned Pyromancer. They're going to hit us for 2. That's fine. We untap. You know what? I will Miracle a Temporal Mastery. I absolutely will. In a Battle of Wits deck? You gotta take every advantage you can get if we're being completely honest here. Play a mountain. Pass to our next turn. Alright, we'll untap. We draw plains. Perfect! Now I don't have to tutor for a plains. Play the plains. Pass the turn, and we'll leave up Snapcaster for the learn spell. Oh my gosh, if we could win this match, that'll make my week. Opponent goes to combat. You know what? Yes, Snapcaster Mage. Target Study Break. Study Break, we'll tap some permanents. Let's get to... You know what? I like Illuminate History here. Because I can discard a whole bunch of spells I don't care about and draw a lot. I could actually get removal for the Magus, but that might help my opponent. I'm going to take Illuminate History. I've got a feeling that it might actually be good. Opponent's going to attack us for 2, that's totally fine. No blocks, take 2. Opponent plays another Seasoned Pyromancer, they're going to dump a bunch of cards. Sure. We untap. We draw gifts! What a gift. Play an island. Pass the turn, I guess. Opponent untaps. They're going to pillage our plains. That does set us back a little bit. However, we can still give Sungiven, and we do still have double blue, and we still have red mana. So, the question is, what do we get? How do we win? I could get a bunch of mana, that's boring. I'm at, what, 4 mana? Yeah, 4 mana after this. So, I can play 5 mana stuff. I think we've got to go get... Well, I can't play a lot of things. I have no white mana. Maybe I just... This is tough. This is real tough. I still think casting this is the correct thing to do. Let's get Snapcaster Mage, Plains, Snow-Covered Plains, and Exhaustion we want. I think this is our best bet. Look at that. We've already used up like 8 minutes of clock tutoring our deck. Just one time. Moto's such a quality piece of programming. They really knew what they were doing when they coded this thing 20 years ago. I'm surprised it's still ticking. I'm in a little bit of a mood today. I'll call it. Not for any real particular reason. Alright, they put both the plains in the grave. They're going to combat. They're attacking for a lot. Chump with Snapcaster. We untap. We draw Chandra. Okay, Chandra is good, actually. So, we play Ghost Quarter. And we exhaust our opponent. Pass the turn. Opponent does not untap. They go to combat. They don't attack. We untap. We draw Emrakul. So, we play Windswept Heath. Now, I could Snapcaster Exhaustion here. Or I can try and play Chandra and Stitch in Time. Which, if we win the flip on Stitch in Time, we probably win. I think we've got to risk it. We're going for the 50-50 here. Play Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Uptick for mana. Stitch in Time. Tails never fails! We lost the flip. Pass the turn. There's a really good chance we die here. We do have Snapcaster Exhaustion, which can potentially buy us another turn. Probably should have gone for like a Snapcaster Environmental Sciences play. Opponent leads on. Utopia Sprawl. Name's red. They still have 4 mana here. They go to combat. Chandra, Chandra, Chandra. They change their mind. Everybody at us. Alright. We go to 3. Are we dead to Lightning Bolt? We are dead to Lightning Bolt. Alright. Moving on to game 3. You know what? I'm going to restart the client in between games. Moto is just, I would say leaking memory, but it's hemorrhaging. It's like just bleeding all memory all over the place. This hand is almost good, but not quite, so we're mulliganing. This hand is way, way better. We're going to keep. I'm going to put back Nimbus Maze. And we're going to lead on Island, Suspending Ancestral Visions. We have Path, which is nice. So, Island, Suspend Ancestral, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a Windswept Teeth. They crack Windswept Teeth for a Forest. They play Utopia Sprawl. We untap, Ancestral Visions ticking down. We draw Narset and Lightened Master. Play Windswept Teeth. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a Wooded Foothills. They crack Wooded Foothills for a Stomping Ground. And they are going to pillage our island like a jerk. Crack Windswept Teeth. Let's go get a Hollowed Fountain. Tapped. Say goodbye to the island. We untap. Ancestral Visions ticking down. Draw Flooded Strand. Play Flooded Strand. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent untaps. They play a Forest. They play Arbor Elf. Sure. They play Relic of Progenitus. That's not fair. It's a lot of ways to pass priority just to get me to use Clock. Alright, but it appears that that's all they've got. So, crack Flooded Strand. We'll get an island. Untap. Ancestral Visions ticking down. We draw an island. Play Plains. Pass the turn. I really think I'm going to need Path, or I would put Yorion in my hand here. This opponent shocks a Stomping Ground. 2 cards left in their hand. 5 mana. Opponent plays Luca. They're going to uptick Luca. Okay. Bird's Veil and Pillage. Opponent's going to untap this forest. They're going to relic us. Yep. Just wasted my clock. And play birds. Sure. They can only cast creature cards this way, right? Yep. Alright, Ancestral Vision's coming off Suspend. We draw a bunch of extra cards. We get an Exhaustion. Well, that's something. Play an island. Let's go ahead and exhaust our opponent. Pass the turn, leave up Path. Opponent untaps. We would basically just use Path on anything they targeted with Luca's downtick. Okay, they uptick Luca. They get a few more random cards. They play a Stomping Ground untapped. They're going to relic us. Yep, get rid of a card. They have 1 card left in their hand. We untap. We draw Prairie Stream. Play Colonnade. Put Yorion into our hand. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They put Obosh into their hand. They untap the forest. They uptick Luca to 8. They exiled Emrakul and Klothys. They play Klothys. That's pretty good. They relic us. Yep. They play a Stomping Ground tapped. And they are passing. We untap. We draw Karn's Temporal Sundering. So, play Prairie Stream. Play Panoptic Mirror. I probably should have left up the basic planes just in case they got Magus of the Moon. I don't know how many Emrakuls they play, though, in the Luca version. Pass the turn. We're very close to taking infinite turns here. Opponent exiles Exhaustion. Yep, that's fine. We really just need to survive like 2 more turns. Alright. Opponent cracks Windswept Teeth, gets a Forest. They sack Relic to draw a card. 5 mana. They're going to play Obosh the Prey Piercer. They go to combat. Path Obosh. They get a mountain. They hit us for 5. The problem right now is I can't stop Luca from ulting. Or down-ticking, even. I think 3 is the top of their curve, other than Obosh, which is out of their deck normally, and Emrakul. So if they play multiple Emrakuls, we're in trouble. Okay, they get a second Klothys, so Legend Rule himself. Alright. Come on! Extra turn spell we can cast. Can't copy anything of value. We draw a Stitch in Time, which, while funny, isn't what we need right now. So we're going to go ahead and cast Yorion. Flickering nothing, pass the turn. And if we make it to our next turn, we should be able to imprint Karn's Temporal Sundering and then take extra turns. But it really depends on whether or not Yorion survives or whether we die. So opponent exiles Path, we take 2. They play Utopia Sprawl. Opponent getting close to that 15 mana to cast Emrakul. They turn on Colossus. They go to combat. They attack us for 4. No blocks. I need Yorion to survive. Opponent upticks Luca. They exile some stuff. They play an Arbor Elf. They play a Windswept Teeth. And I think we got there. So, on our upkeep, in response to the Panoptic Mirror trigger, pay 6. Yes, exile Karn's Temporal Sundering. Now we cast a copy. Target player takes an extra turn, bounce Luca. Go to combat, draw Time Warp. Go to combat. Attack our opponent for 4. Alright. Opponent cracks Windswept Teeth on our end step. Gets Mountain. We untap. Copy Karn's Temporal Sundering. Target ourself. Bounce Colossus. Draw. Aether Hub. Play Aether Hub. Add energy. Play Narset. Go to combat. Attack our opponent for 4. Infinite turns! From the Singleton Panoptic Mirror. Oh, it doesn't get better than that, folks. It does not get better than that. What will you do now, opponent? Alright, untap. Panoptic Mirror. Game's over, we win the match. I'll see you guys in round 2. Alright, we'll be on the play for round 2, and it looks like our opponent's on some sort of Tron, perhaps. I am going to keep this hand. I just realized this list that I'm playing with is actually quite old, and I did not update the mana base, so I do not have the Triomes, I think, which is kind of a big deal. Alright, opponent leads on Urza's Mine. Crack Polluted Delta. I think we get Steam Vent. Untap. We draw Study Break. Play Colonnade. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a Power Plant. We untap. Miracle Temporal. I mean, you know what? I'll take it. Play Watery Grave tapped. Alright, we untap. We draw Narset Transcendent. So we can play Monastery Siege and play Khans, but if I play Dragons, they can't just Karn me immediately. Oh, it's only spells. Okay, we have to play Khans then. Kano read a card! Name Khans. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They draw Tower. Play Tower. Karn liberated. They take Colonnade. Alright, we untap. We draw Prairie Stream and Cryptic Command. Discard Blessed Alliance. Play Prairie Stream. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. I don't think we can beat an active Karn liberated. Definitely not if they're playing an Ulamog this turn. Okay, opponent plays Karn Great Creator. They're going to exile a card from our hand. We'll get rid of Blessed Alliance. Opponent downticks Karn Great Creator. They get a Liquimetal Coating. They play Coating. Then they play Map. And they're passing. We untap. They're going to shut off Prairie Stream. That's fine. We draw Nahiri. And Nimbus Maze. Ditch Nahiri. Go to our main. Play Nimbus Maze. Pass the turn. Opponent going to crack Map. So we stop on their upkeep. I might just repulse Karn and draw here. If they have a big Eldrazi, they have a big Eldrazi. They already have a tower, so they'll have 13 mana. We draw Aether Hub. But I think they just blow up 2 lands, and this is kind of a futile effort here. They wish for Sundering Titan. So there goes 3 of our lands. Okay. Yeah, it's unfortunately that that Monastery Swiftspear does not say spells or abilities, like the other effects of its kind. Run it back. Man, we even got a Miracle Temporal. We just didn't draw our 4th land on time. I think in general we should have a decent matchup here. We'll just need to draw like our Remands and Mana Leak, I think. Or Field of Ruin. We'll play first, reveal Yorion. Obviously the slower hand that our opponent has, the better for us. This hand is fine, but we do need to make it to 3 mana. If we can get to 4, we can Gifts Ungiven for Terastodon and blow up all their lands. Alright. So, lead on Flooded Strand. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play an Urza's Mine. So opponent mulligan to 5. I'm not going to crack the fetch here because I do want to draw a 3rd land. There's the land. Play an island. Pass the turn. We can Time Walk them by just exhaustioning them if they tap out for Map this turn. Alright, crack Flooded Strand. Okay. They crack Map in response. So opponent will have Tron. Flooded Strand, gonna get us a Hollowed Fountain. Tapped. We untap. We draw Ghost Quarter. So we can either Exhaustion now, which lets my opponent have an untapped Tron land, or we can Divide by 0. I think we just exhaust. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a power plant. White border Tron lands alongside black border Tron lands. Opponent plays Map and Sphere. We untap and draw Reflecting Pool. Play Reflecting Pool. Pass the turn, and we're going to leave up Gifts Ungiven and Divide by 0. If my opponent plays Karn Liberated, we can Gifts. If they play... Like, if they happen to have the last Tron land and Ulamog or something, we're in trouble. Okay, Karn Liberated we don't actually care about. So they can downtick and nuke a land if they want. Okay, so Gifts Ungiven. We get Terastodon and Unburial Rites. Okay. They exile our Reflecting Pool. Then they pass. We untap. We draw Baral. Play Ghost Quarter. Unburial Rites Terastodon. And we'll blow up Karn and their 2 non-tower Tron lands. Okay, opponent's going to crack Expedition Map in response. And that's going to get them another power plant. We will use Terastodon's ability. So opponent back down to 2 mana for now. Luckily we do have Ghost Quarter, and we can start unsummoning these tokens. Opponent plays power plant. They crack Sphere for green, they play Map. Okay. No attacks for our opponent. We draw a Thought Scour. So go to combat. Attack them for 9. Opponent chumps. That's good news for us. So now we're gonna Ghost Quarter, but I think we just leave up Divide by 0. Let's put a cracks Map. They get power plant again. They untap. They draw. They play power plant. The worst thing they could have here is Karn Liberated, or not Karn Liberated, Karn Great Creator. Opponent puts Gigantha in their hand, goes to combat and attacks. So let's Divide by 0. Oh, I can't actually Divide by 0 the token. Well, I'm glad they didn't triple block. We take 3. All right, Thought Scour our opponent. We get an Angel Song. Cycle Angel Song. We get Dictate of Krufix. All right. We untap. We draw a Supreme Verdict. Go to combat. Attack for 9. Opponent jumps. They lose the elephant. Pass to our opponent. So we have Divide by 0 if they play anything that isn't Gigantha, or we can play Dictate of Krufix. They play a forest. Thragtusk. I'm actually gonna Divide by 0 here. And we'll get... I think it is Environmental Science. Because we do really need to get another land. Opponent passes. We draw. Howling Mine. So... Environmental Sciences. Get a Plains. Play a Plains. Hang on 1 second. Okay. So go to combat. Attack for 9. Opponent chumps. Then we're going to play Baral, I think. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. It's probably just Thragtusk again. It could be Gigantha. They play Thragtusk. They go up to 25. I played this way because if I draw a land, I can cast Walk the Eons. There's a Ghost Quarter. So go to combat. Attack for 9. Opponent does block. Okay, they lose Thragtusk. Get a Beast. Play Ghost Quarter. Walk the Aeons. Target ourselves. Okay? Untap. We draw Cryptic Command. Play Teferi. Bounce the Beast. Get a Steam Vents. Steam Vents untapped. Go to combat. Attack them for 10. Okay, opponent goes down to 15. I'm going to play Howling Mine, and I'm going to Ghost Quarter that Urza's Power Plant on their draw step. So opponent untaps. Upkeep. Draw. Resolve Howling Mine. Ghost Quarter Power Plant. Okay. Opponent loses Power Plant. They do have a basic left still. Okay. They play Map. They crack Map. They only have 1 Power Plant left in the deck, so that's what they tutor up. Then they play O-Stone. Alright. So we untap. We draw Port Town and Monastery Siege. Uptick to Ferry. Play Port Town. Tapped. Go to combat. Attack for 10. And I think I'm going to just Sorcery Speed bounce the O-Stone, because I don't think they can do anything about this unless they have the last Tron land, and if they do, we can like flash Dictate on our upkeep and draw extra cards. Opponent likely has an Urza's Mine, so if they have the full like Tron, they can blow everything up. They have enough mana that if I had just bounced the land, we would lose. Because they would still have 5 mana, they could have activated O-Stone on their upkeep. So I think they're trying to draw Urza's Mine. It's going to depend on whether or not they got it. They didn't! Alright, we're going to use this time in between games to restart the client for Game 3. Alright, Game 3 and we're on the draw. This hand is not good at all. We're going to mulligan. This is basically going to come down to how quickly can our opponent assemble Tron. It looks like they're mulliganing, though. Opponent has mulliganed to 5, and they kept 5. They play an Urza's Mine. They play a Star. We untap and draw a Hollowed Fountain. So, play Windswept Teeth, pass the turn. Opponent draws. They crack Star for green. They play a Forest, so this is not turn 3 Tron. That is very important. They get a Power Plant. Does this... Hang on a minute. Does this list have Commandeer? I don't remember what I called this list. Time Warp of Wits. Because if this list has Commandeer, I can Merchant Scroll for it. Nope, it does not. Alright, so on my opponent's end step, crack Windswept Teeth, get a Prairie Stream. We untap, draw Baral, shock Hollowed Fountain, play Baral, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play Power Plant. They Sylvan Scrying. They get a Tower. They play a map, so they will have Tron. We untap. We draw Hollowed Fountain. So we can either try to Gifts Ungiven, or we can Merchant Scroll for a counterspell. I actually think I need to Merchant Scroll for a counterspell. So we can either get Divide by 0, or Remand. I think I'm going to go with Remand. Then we play Mana Confluence. Pass the turn. Hit them for 1. This is slightly better than casting Gifts this turn. Only if my opponent does actually have something to play off of Tron. Okay, opponent plays Urza's Tower. They have Karn. Remand Karn. We get Ral Zarek. And we get to loot. We get Snapcaster Mage, ditch Baral. Number 2. Opponent plays Karn, Great Creator. They downtick. Revealing Liquimetal Coating. Alright. We untap. We draw Ghost Quarter. Okay, I actually have a couple of different lines here. Liquimetal Coating is a problem. I might need to Ghost Quarter and then just leave up Snap Remand. Because I can Ghost Quarter Tower. I can hit Karn down to 2. I could alternatively, I could play Ral Zarek and downtick Ral Zarek to shoot Karn, but if my opponent has anything else, we're screwed. Obviously, Gifts Ungiven would be our best play if we thought it would resolve, and we could make it through next turn. If all they do is play Liquimetal Coating and put Gigantha in their hand, we're fine. Anything else, and we're in trouble. Okay, I think I'm going to Ghost Quarter. We'll Ghost Quarter Tower. We can do Gifts Ungiven or Snapcaster Mage at instant speed. Go to combat. Hit Karn. Take Karn down to 2. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They draw. Opponent is going to Sylvan Scrying. If I'm going to remand, I need to remand. But I don't think I'm going to remand here. We'll let our opponent grab Tower. They play Tower. They have 6 mana. They're going to play Coding. Okay. So now we Gifts. This does potentially give them the opportunity to play Grave Hate. Like if they have Grafdigger's Cage. So maybe I should actually be getting different cards here. But I'm going to go for Unburial Rites Terastodon. I don't have an Oblivion Ring or anything like that. But if they're not holding Relic and they have to Wish with Karn here, they lose Karn, which is huge. If they just uptick and have no other way to interact with this line, we play a land and then Unburial Rites Terastodon and blow everything up and win the game, potentially. So they turned Mana Confluence into an artifact. They blow up Mana Confluence. We untap. Draw Omniscience. Not something you always want to top deck. Unburial Rites, target Terastodon. Terastodon will blow up Karn. Tower. Power Plant. Opponent cracks map in response. They get an Urza's Tower. Blow up the lands. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Now, if they can play Tower and have another Karn Great Creator, we're in trouble. They put Gigantha in their hand, so they don't have it. We untap. We draw Snapcaster Mage, which is pretty good. I don't think we attack here. We're just going to pass. We're going to leave up Snapcaster Remand. Snapcaster Merchant Scroll was tempting. Opponent plays Thragtusk. So Snapcaster. Target Remand. Remand Thragtusk. We draw Howling Mine. We do get to loot. Angel Song will keep over Settle. Actually, I should have ditched Omniscience, but you know how it is. Kano can't remember anything. We untap. We draw Path. Alright. Go to combat. Attack for 9. Opponent just chumps. This is fine. Cycle Angel Song, because we really need a land. Not a land. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They draw. They play an Urza's Mine. I'm not above pathing my own Snapcaster here if they attack. Okay, opponent plays Thragtusk. They go to combat. They don't attack. Yeah. Let's path Snapcaster. We'll go get a mountain. Untap. We draw Ancestral Visions. Okay. Man, what do I do here? I think I just suspend Ancestral. And then we pass. I can Snapcaster Path if I have to. Okay, so opponent now has Tron again. They get Power Plant. They have something to play as well. That's really bad. Karn Liberated. They're going to exile Terastodon. So Snapcaster. Target Path to exile. Path our own Terastodon. Get an island. Opponent goes to combat. Attacks us for 5, no blocks. We go to 9. We untap. Ancestral Vision's ticking down. We draw. Island. Play Island. Play Ralzeric. Shoot Karn Liberated. Play Howling Mine. This is bad because our opponent gets to draw the extra cards first. No blocks. Or no attacks, obviously. We're going to be on blocking duty. If they want to kill Ralzeric, they can attack him with everything. But they probably just attack us, honestly. Opponent goes to combat. Everything at us. So, chump here. It's not like they have Lightning Bolt. Well, they could have Ugin, actually, so I need to chump here as well. That is unfortunate. We go to 6. We have 2 draws, in theory, to find anything of importance. We do have Wraths in the deck, although my opponent does have a Thragtusk. They play Gigantha. Wrath would not be bad here. They play a land. We untap. Ancestral Vision's ticking down. We draw Plains, and Sunken Hollow. I mean, I could do some fun tricks, but, like, tap Gigantha, untap here, put Yorion into my hand, play Yorion, but, nah, I needed to draw a Time Warp or a Wrath of God, and I didn't. That was really close. I think I had a different line that probably would have won harder, but there was no way of knowing without knowing what was in my opponent's hand, so. Alright, I'll see you guys in round 3. Alright, we're on the draw. I'm going to keep this because I do have a cantrip. We are playing against a Lurrus deck, so anything can happen, but we have a lot of cheap spells in hand, so hopefully it's enough. Alright, opponent plays Watery Grave untapped. If it's Mill, we're hilariously advantaged. We draw Nimbus Maze, crack Flooded Strand, get a Steam Vents, untapped, Thought Scour our opponent. They Thought Scour us, milling 2 lands, Mana Leak and Snow-Covered Island, alright. They untap, play Drowned Catacomb. We untap, play Glacial Fortress. Pass the turn. We have Remand or Opt, depending on what our opponent does. Okay. So opponent untaps. They play a Scalding Tarn. They pass. Opt on their end step. Exhaustion to the bottom. We get Divide by 0, which is actually really awesome. Get a Thought Scour. Play Nimbus Maze. Pass the turn. Opponent cracks Scalding Tarn on our end step. For an island. They Thought Scour us again. Sure. They mill Nexus of Fate and Cryptic Command. They untap. They play a land. I think I'm going to Snapcaster Thought Scour here. This should make them do something, I would imagine, but not 100% on that. We get to Fairy Time Raveler. Untap. We draw Reflecting Pool. Play Reflecting Pool. Pass to combat. Attack. Opponent takes 2, goes to 15. We pass to them. Opponent Archmage's Charm to draw cards. Yeah, that's fine. They have a Fatal Push. Do we care about that? Not really. Their turn. They untap, they draw. They play Bauble. They crack Bauble looking at their own top deck. They play Polluted Delta. They crack Polluted Delta. They didn't like it. They get an island. And they are now passing. Thought Scour our opponent. We get Search for Iskanta. We untap, they draw a card. We draw Port Town. Play Search for Iskanta. They have Drown in the lock. I'm going to remand my own Search for Iskanta. I want them to fight over as many spells as possible before I play Teferi, basically. Play Port Town, reveal nothing. Pass the turn. Opponent Snapcaster Mages, probably for a Thought Scour. They play a Thought Scour, targeting us, milling Polluted Delta and Big Teferi. They untap, they draw, they play Bauble, they crack Bauble, looking at their own top deck. They play a Scalding Tarn, they put Lurrus into their hand. Alright, it's Teferi go time. They attack us for 2. We untap, they draw a card. We draw Nimbus Maze, play Nimbus Maze, white, blue, anything. Play Teferi, they crack Scalding Tarn in response, getting an island. And then they're going to cast a Force of Negation. I mean, I could divide by 0 the Force of Negation, but I think I'm going to put Teferi back in my hand rather than give them the opportunity to pitch something to force. Alright, we will get an Environmental Sciences. Force fizzles, pass the turn. Opponent untaps, and they're going to play Lurrus here. They replay Bauble, crack Bauble, then they shock a Watery Grave, play Thing in the Ice. They probably have Drown in the lock. They hit us for 2, sure. We untap, they draw a card. We draw Temporal Trespass, perfect. So play a Plains, play Teferi. Teferi resolves, uptick Teferi, then Temporal Trespass. We'll just exile our whole grave here, you know, why not? We don't need this graveyard. Take an extra turn. We untap. Miracle Temporal Mastery. Like a baller. Alright, go to our main. Bounce Thing. Ooh, we get Part the Water Veil too. Play Ral Zarek. Tap Lurrus, untap anything. Play Search. Next turn. We untap, search for Iskanta. Mill Settle the Wreckage. We draw Savor the Moment. Alright. Uptick Teferi. Tap Watery Grave, untap a land. We're like stasising right now. Savor the moment. Alright, pass the turn. We untap. Search for Iskanta. Mill Serum Visions. We draw Chandra the Firebrand. Alright. Tap Snow-Covered Island. Untap Port Town. Uptick Teferi. Oh, I don't have quite enough mana here. So, play Savor the Moment. Play Stitch in Time. Tails never fails. Heads, we lose the flip. Alright, well, next turn. Search for Iskanta. We're not going to mill Big Teferi. We are going to transform Search, though. Draw Big Teferi. Unsummon Lurrus. Draw a card. Path. Alt Ral Zarek. Heads, we win the flip. Heads, we win the flip. Tails, we lose the flip. Tails, we lose the flip. And tails. So 2 extra turns. Let's go. Extra turn number 1. We untap. Draw Walk the Eons. That should be plenty, but, you know, we're here to go all out. Play Chandra. Uptick Chandra. Shoot there. Uptick Teferi. Activate Iskanta. Tick Time Warp. Rest to the bottom. Untap. Opponent gives up. I thought Lurrus Control would be our worst possible matchup, but hey, we did fantastic things. We had the perfect hand for it, though. I'm going to restart the client, and I'll see you guys in game 2. Alright, I am going to keep this hand. Opponent is on the play. They start Watery Grave untapped into a Thoughtseize. Reasonable. I feel like I see something in my mustache out of the corner of my... Oh, it's one of my beard hairs being reflective under this bright light. Opponent makes me discard gifts. Reasonable. We untap, we draw a Nimbus Maze, play an island, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play a Scalding Tarn. We draw. Supreme Verdict. Play Glacial Fortress, pass the turn. Opponent cracks Scalding Tarn. They get a Watery Grave tapped. They untap. They play an island. We untap. We draw Arch of Orazka. Play Nimbus Maze. Pass the turn. Opponent probably going to just draw cards off an Archmage's Charm. Yep. They untap. They play a Drowned Catacomb. I'm going to go for a no-value Snapcaster here, just to see if I can't get him to put cards in the graveyard. We untap. We draw a Dictate. Play Arch. Go to combat. Hit them for 2. Opponent goes down to 13. They opt. They untap. They play Polluted Delta. They play Bob. And then they're passing. So go to their end step. Cast Dictate of Krufix. If they counter this, we try and resolve Narset Transcendent. If they don't, we may end up casting Exhaustion here. We draw Island. Well, it's good we at least drew lands. Go to combat. Attack for 2. No blocks for the opponent. They want to draw extra cards as well. Play an island. Cast Exhaustion. Okay, Exhaustion resolves. It likely doesn't do all that much to my opponent. They untap. They flip Thing in the Ice off of Dark Confidant, taking 2 damage and drawing an extra card. They play Bauble. They crack Bauble. They crack Polluted Delta for an island. They go to combat, attack us for 2. We go down to 18. Then we untap. They draw a card. We draw 2 cards. Stitch in Time and Study Break. Play an island. Go to combat. Attack our opponent for 2. They take 2 and go to 6. Play Narset. They should counter this, I'm thinking. Okay, Mana Leak. That's fine. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Dark Confidant. Gets them a Sunken Ruins. They draw an extra card. They play Sunken Ruins. They play Thing in the Ice. They attack us for 2. Sure. We go down to 16. Okay, on their end step, go ahead and Study Break. The opponent has to think about this one. All right. I think when we learn, we get Environmental Science, so we can get red mana. I'm probably going to end up casting Supreme Verdict this turn, but this lets me chip in 2 damage. Yeah, we'll get Environmental Sciences. Opponent has to discard. They discard Scalding Tarn. We untap. We draw Time Warp, Serum Visions. All right, go to combat. Attack for 2. Opponent no blocks. They go to 4. Play Serum Vision. We get Ral Zarek. There's a mountain. I think I'm going to put both of these back on top. Then I'm going to cast Supreme Verdict. Yeah, I know Dark Confidant is a consistent source of life loss, but odds are my opponent would either Fatal Push their own Confidant or flip Thing in the Ice before they died to Confidant. You generally don't play Confidant if you're going to die to Confidant. Opponent only has to lose 1 life for Ral Zarek to be lethal, which is pretty nice. Opponent plays a Snow-Covered Island. They put Lurrus into their hand. They didn't play him, though. They got to discard 2 cards. Alright. Opponent discards Polluted Delta Dark Confidant. We untap. We draw Mountain and Teferi. Play Mountain. Stitch in Time. Tails never fails. We won the flip. Extra turn land, here we come. Environmental Science. Get a Mountain. Next turn, we untap. We draw Unburial Rites and Flooded Strand. So, let's see. Play Flooded Strand. I think we just try and Time Warp. Time Warp, target ourselves. They can't Mana Leak, so they have to use something better than a Mana Leak. Cryptic counter draw. Crack Flooded Strand. We need to get a land that taps for black, so probably a Watery Grave. Then put Yorion in her hand. Pass the turn. I really, really want my opponent to play something that causes them to lose 1 life. A Polluted Delta counts. I don't know if we have Lightning Bolt in this list. I don't think we do. We probably should. Opponent plays Lurrus. Plays Bauble. Cracks Bauble. We untap. They draw a card. Then we draw Nimbus Maze and Reflecting Pool. Play Reflecting Pool. City's Blessing. Whoops. Play Big Teferi. Archmage's Charm. Alright, I'm gonna go for it. They probably have a 2-mana counterspell or a force, given the fact that they have a ridiculous number of counterspells in their deck, and they're drawing 1,000,000 cards a turn, thanks to me. Mana Leak. Alright. Pass the turn. I wanted to do it that turn because my opponent is going to get the opportunity to attack with Lurrus. So they draw an extra card. They play Polluted Delta. Opponent replays Bauble. Draws an extra card. Attacks us with Lurrus. We untap. They draw a card. They're up to 6. We draw Cryptic Command and Savor the Moment. So play a Mountain. Cast Savor the Moment. This is effectively a draw 2 because we don't untap. Opponent Archmage's Charm. Alright, pass the turn, leave up Cryptic Command. They play a land. They go to combat. Attack for 3. We'll take 3. Go to 9. Opponent goes to 9. Then they play Bob. Okay, on my opponent's end step. Activate Arch. We get Colonnade. Opponent has to discard to hand size. They discard Scalding Tarn. We untap. We draw Teferi and Time Warp. So, play Nimbus Maze. Time Warp ourself. Opponent has Drown in the lock. We'll try and Cryptic. Mystical Dispute. Alright. We're going to go ahead and concede. We'll go to game 3. Should I be running Relic of Progenitus here? Probably. Actually, it's better than Deck and Stone and Timely. Alright, we'll play first. Reveal Yorion. We got a whole bunch of Howling Mines. Well, I guess we'll try it. Lead on Nimbus Maze, pass the turn. Opponent plays Bauble, cracks Bauble, plays Scalding Tarn, passes. We untap, they draw. We draw an island, play Howling Mine. Opponent cracks Scalding Tarn. They could have a Spell Pierce. They shock Watery Grave. They cast Cantrip. Opponent untaps. They draw an extra card. They play Sunken Ruins. They play Thing in the Ice. We untap. We draw Ghost Quarter and Stitch in Time. So play Reflecting Pool. Exhaust our opponent. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Draws an extra card. Plays Polluted Delta. Cracks Polluted Delta. Gets a Watery Grave untapped. And Thought Seizes us, taking a counter off of Thing in the Ice. They take Stitch in Time. They want none of that. That's awesome. We untap. We draw Remand and divide by 0. Play Ghost Quarter. Divide by 0. Put Thing in the Ice in my opponent's hand. Get Environmental Science. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They draw extra cards. They play an island. They play Thing in the Ice. They got a discard to hand size. They discard Cling to Dust. We draw Island and search. Play an island. Let's cast Environmental Science. Get a mountain. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They draw, then they draw an extra card. They're going to Thought Seize us. Alright, well we can let them take Remand, I suppose. I don't want them to take an extra counter off Thing. They take Remand, so now we can F6. They Thought Scour us, milling Omniscience and Narset Transcendent. They play Polluted Delta, and they pass. We untap. We draw Jace, Architect of Thought, and Polluted Delta. Play a mountain. Play Jace. Opponent mana leaks, that's fine. Oops. Play Search for Iskanta, pass the turn. Opponent casts Force of Negation to flip Thing. That's pretty big, actually. Our only guarantee that we can deal with that is Supreme Verdict, which we do have in our deck, but is very unlikely for us to actually draw. And now my opponent should just, like, hold up whatever counterspells they have and pass. They play a second Thing. They go to combat. They attack us for 7. Take 7. We untap. Draw Polluted Delta. Draw Teferi. Okay. Play Polluted Delta. White, blue, doesn't matter. Play Teferi. Opponent cracks Polluted Delta. Gets an island. Archmage's Charm. Counterspell mode. Play Howling Mine. Pass the turn. I'm not going to crack this Polluted Delta because there's a good chance my opponent can just flip Thing in the Ice on their turn and kill us in one shot. Opponent untaps. They draw a bunch of cards. They play Bauble. They crack it. They shock Watery Grave. Go to 7. They hit us for 7. Come on, Supreme Verdict. It would be so good here. Okay, we draw Island, Battle of Wits, and Battle of Wits. Alright. Well, at least we can say we cast Battle of Wits this game. Opponent Archmage's Charm. So we'll F6 at this point. If they can flip their other thing, we die. If they can't, we get another opportunity to try and cast Battle of Wits. But like, even if we had Battle of Wits Stitch in Time or Battle of Wits Savor the Moment, we couldn't cast it because we don't have the right lands. Although that would be a hilarious way to win if they couldn't flip their own Thing in the Ice here. And like somehow we're out of counterspells. Which they're not. We've been giving them 2 Howling Mines, so they Thought Scour us. They mill apart the Watervale, Arch of Erazga, and then they Thought Scour us. And we lose. I can't believe we've won a game in every match so far. I'll see you guys in round 4. Alright, round 4, and we're on the play. And this looks like a hand that'll work. My opponent is playing Lurrus, though. So, we'll see. I'm going to lead on Colonnade, pass the turn. Opponent leads on Polluted Delta. If this is the same blue-black control deck, I'm torn. Because if it is, then at least a bunch of people playing that deck are at the bottom of the metagame. But if it is, I also have to deal with playing that deck again. And it's not really a fun matchup. Okay, It appears to at least be Grixis, so it's something slightly different. We play Baral. Opponent shocks and does nothing, so they're probably actually Death Shadow. They crack Scalding Tarn. They land a Watery Grave untapped into a Sprite Dragon. So it's aggro. They hit us for 1. We untap. We draw Howling Mine. Play Howling Mine. Play Prairie Stream. Pass the turn, no attacks. We will leave Baral on defense. Okay, opponent cracks Mishra's Bauble. Plays Expressive Iteration. They play another Bauble. Sprite Dragon getting huge. They crack Polluted Delta. They get a Steam Vents going to 11. They crack Bauble. And they bolt Baral, so we're taking 5. Alright, opponent gets to draw 2 cards. We draw Reflecting Pool and Remand. So play Reflecting Pool. Play Narset. Uptick Narset to 7, get Stitch in time, pass the turn. Opponent untaps, draws 2 cards. There's a really good chance we're just dead. Okay, opponent casts Expressive Iteration. They get another Sprite Dragon. They play Bloodstained Mire. They crack Bloodstained Mire. They shock Watery Grave, go down to 8. They Thoughtseize us. They take Stitch in time. They go down to 6, and they play Death Shadow. Now they're deciding whether to attack Narset or to attack us. They attack Narset, which I believe to be correct. She represents an extra draw and a lot of card advantage. We are already getting 2 draws, but... Untap. We draw Flooded Strand. We draw Narset Transcendent. So, Thought Scour our opponent. We draw land. Unfortunately, she does not interact with the board. And we can't do anything else. So we'll concede. Opponent is playing Grixis Death Shadow. Run it back. Alright, we'll play first. Reveal Yorion. Yeah, we'll keep. So, Polluted Delta, fetch up an island. Serum Visions. We draw Part the Water Veil, Temporal Trespass, and Jace to the bottom. Pass the turn. Opponent plays Bloodstained Mire, fetches, shocks, and Inquisitions. They can take Search or they can take Howling Mine. They probably take Search. Howling Mine benefits us both, but probably my opponent more. Search only benefits us. They take Howling Mine. Interesting. We draw Teferi. So play Reflecting Pool, play Search for Iskanta, pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They Thoughtseize us, so they take Teferi. They play Polluted Delta, and they're passing. We untap, search for Iskanta. I will keep Blessed Alliance. Play Sunken Hollow, tapped, pass the turn. Opponent cracks Polluted Delta, shocks Blood Crypt and goes to 12. Clings to Dust Teferi to draw a card. They untap. They shock Steam Vents and go to 10. Opponent plays a Sprite Dragon and a Death Shadow. They go to combat. They hit us for 1. We untap. Mill Field of Ruin. Miracle Temporal Mastery. Go to our main. I think I'm going to make my opponent gain 4 life. We untap. Search for Iskanta. I think we mill just about anything that isn't a land here. Dictate. Yeah. We draw Monastery Siege. I'm actually going to play Monastery Siege and name Dragons, because that's actually going to tax my opponent's burn spells, hand hate, basically costing their whole turn if they cast one. They untap. We already have the incremental advantage off of Search for Iskanta, so opponent plays Expressive Iteration. Sprite Dragon gets bigger. They get Bauble. They play Bauble. I really dislike that interaction. Expressive Iteration getting Bauble. They shock Steam Vents. They crack Bauble. They go to combat, hit us for 3. We go to 14. We untap. They draw a card. Search for Iskanta. What are the odds my opponent has a spell they can cast this turn? Roughly 1,000,000%. I'm going to mill Ralzeric and transform Search. We draw Emrakul. Activate Search. Let's get, let's get Temporal Trespass. Rest to the bottom. Pass the turn. Feels kind of bad ditching that Ralzeric, but Opponent untaps. They play Kroxa. They force us to discard. So we have to discard Part the Water Veil. I want to discard Emrakul, but if I do, I can't cast Trespass. I'm going to play Scalding Tarn. Goes to combat. Attacks us for 3. We go to 11. They crack Scalding Tarn. They shock Watery Grave, go to 9. 3 mana Thoughtseize. Either one of these spells they could take. They take Temporal Trespass. Alright. We untap. Draw an island. Play the island. Activate Iskanta. Get Search for Iskanta. Rest to the bottom. Play Search. This at least gives us some scries. Pass the turn. So opponent can reanimate Kroxa. They play Bloodstained Mire. They attack us for 4. We go to 6. We untap. Search for Iskanta. Yes, I will mill the plains. I will not transform. We draw Howling Mine. Activate Iskanta. Take Serum Visions. Rest to the bottom. Cast Serum Visions. Why would you drown? Why wouldn't you just reanimate Kroxa? Like, why would you leave up for drown specifically? I mean, we're dead anyway, to our opponent casting a single other spell, or us even tapping Mana Confluence, so this game is over, but, like, when it goes to combat, hits us for 5. I would basically have to draw one of our timely reinforcements here. Unless, of course... No, my opponent just reanimates Kroxa, right? I guess that's fine, because we have stuff to discard now. So discard... I guess Emrakul? No. That turns off Snapcaster, which we could draw. Snapcaster Blessed Alliance might actually do something here. We untap, search for Iskanta. Mill Monastery Siege, no transform. We draw nothing. Play Prairie Stream. Activate Iskanta. We get an oust. Yeet. See you guys in round 5. Alright, we're on the play for round 5. Let's see if we can win half our entry back, shall we? This hand is almost good, but that's a mulligan. Wow! This is also a mulligan. Alright, we'll keep. Put back Plains and Mountain, and we'll lead on Steam Vents. Alright, they lead on Blackleaf Cliffs. We untap. We draw Time Warp. Play Nimbus Maze, pass the turn. Ah, Living End. Haven't seen this deck in a while. We draw Thought Scour, so scour ourself. We draw Cryptic Command, play Reflecting Pool, pass the turn. We don't have a Plains, so we can't actually play Cryptic. So opponent untaps, plays a Blooming Marsh, plays Fulminator. Well, that's bad. They take out Steam Vents. We untap. We draw Windswept Teeth. Play Windswept Teeth. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Swamp. Passes. We draw Glacial Fortress. So fetch. Get a Plains. Play Fortress. Now we have Cryptic. Pass the turn. Cryptic versus our opponent's deck is pretty big. Okay, they Violent Outburst. They cast Living End. I could counter this and bounce that Blackleaf Cliffs, but if they have an untapped red source, that's not great. Cryptic Living End. See what we draw. Monastery Siege. Opponent untaps. Plays Grove of the Burn Willows, so they did have an untapped red source. So if they have another Violent Outburst, we could be in trouble. There it is. I get back Fulminator. They take out Reflecting Pool. So we untap. We draw Cryptic. Play Arch of Orazka. Play Monastery Siege. Name Khans. Somehow our opponent has to not have enough cycling creatures to kill us, which is highly unlikely considering your deck is 70% cycling creatures. Opponent cycles Street Wraith. Yep. Alright. Alright, we're on the play for round 2. Game 2 of round 5. I'm going to keep this. We have Opt, Oust, and Timely. Let's go ahead and lead on Opt. Teferi means they can't actually cascade into a spell, which is fantastic. They start by cycling Street Wraith. They play Blackleaf Cliffs. We untap. We draw Mikokoro. Play Hallowed Fountain tapped. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They play Grove of the Burn Willows. And they pass. We draw Snapcaster. Play Aether Hub. Get an energy. Play Teferi. Opponent cycles Street Wraith in response. They cycle Horror. I mean, I guess if they have Beast Within at sorcery speed here, it's bad for us, but... Uptick Teferi to 5. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. Plays Blackleaf Cliffs. They Beast Within Teferi. Okay. We untap. Miracle Temporal Mastery. cast Temporal, play me Kokoro, go to combat, hit our opponent for 3, untap, we draw Dictate, go to combat, attack for 3, hit our opponent down to 10, play Stitch in Time, Tails never fails, we win the flip, untap, we draw Walk the Aeons, so go to combat, attack for 3, hit our opponent down to 7. I was really hoping we were going to get a land there so I could Snapcaster Stitch in Time. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So opponent untaps. They're probably going to Demonic Dread. There's actually some notion that maybe I should have ousted my own beast to prevent this. Okay, opponent plays Fulminator and passes. On their end step, flash in Dictate. We untap, draw Aether Hub. They are going to fulminate our Hallowed Fountain and Blood Crypt. So I should have floated mana and given Stitch in Time flashback there. Play Aether Hub, but I did not. Go to combat, attack our opponent for 3, hit them to 4, pass the turn. Opponent draws a card. Opponent plays a forest, then passes. On their end step, draw a card. So here comes the Violent Outburst. Sure, which means we're losing another land to Fulminator. Yep. See how fun this is. We draw a card. It's a field. We untap. We draw Steam Vents and Time Stretch. A little far off of Time Stretch, I think. Play Timely. Make a bunch of tokens. Play Steam Vents tapped. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps. They draw some cards. They play a mountain. I hate it. Opponent attacks us for 10. You know what? That's fine. Take 10. Watch my opponent living end here to just get back Fulminators. Like Demonic Dread me. We untap. We draw an Opt and a Steam Vents. So, play field. Go to combat. Attack our opponent for 3. They go to 1. Pass the turn. They cycle Imposing Vantasaur. Okay. Opponent untaps. They draw an extra card. They play Grove. They go to combat. They attack. Field of Ruin. Hit Blackcleave Cliffs. Get an island. Flash in Snapcaster. Doesn't matter what we target. Block Horror. Violent Outburst. They choose not to cast anything. Are we just getting Violent Outbursted to death? Well, at least they didn't kill me how I expected them to kill me. But we played against the one deck playing a bunch of Stone Rains that they could recurse. Ugh. That's the problem with Battle of Wits, is it's inconsistent. I definitely don't think that this is the best build of Battle of Wits. I definitely don't even think this is the best build of Time Warp Battle of Wits that we have possible to play. This was just me throwing a deck together to play something different today. There is a lot of updates I actually need to make to this that I didn't realize until I was like 2/3 the way through this league. Here it is. Like, I need to be running Izzet Charm, I need to be running Prismari Command. This deck definitely needs Lightning Bolt in it. Jeskai may not be the colors for Time Warp Battle of Wits. It could be Bant, it could be 4-color, it could be Simic, it could be a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this content, something different. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, and remember you can follow me on Twitch. Same username over there as you find me on here. I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The last few times have been earlier than that. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Hey, just wanted to give a shout out to my patrons for the month of May. If you want to support my channel directly and have your name show up in this list, there's a link to my Patreon in the description down below. Thank you all.